If there is a villain in Elden Ring, it's Marika. She slaughtered the fire giants, forced 2 of her sons to live in the sewers because they were omens, sent one of her sons on a crusade of revenge and abandoned him in another dimension, and sacrificed her own daughter. The lands between are a complete mess because of her, but she wants us to come and pick up the pieces. Then there is Ranni, who shows us that perhaps there is another way. Perhaps the Greater Will and Golden Order were bound to fail from the start. Perhaps the whole system needs to be upended and formed into something completely different, and offers us the Age of Stars. While their goals may seem at odds with each other, they actually want the same thing, the Age of Stars, and Marika manipulated both you and Ranni to do it. Let me explain. Starting with the most straightforward way of analyzing Marika's true motivations, her guidance of grace. Let's look at where her grace points us, mostly to her or Radagon's children, so we can kill them. Mother of the Year right there. It points to Redmane Castle where we kill Radahn. It points to Stormville Castle so we can defeat Margit and Godric. And it points to Lanedale so we can defeat Morgott. Then it points towards the Giant's Forge so we can sacrifice her daughter and burn the Erdtree. Like I said, Mother of the Year. But it points to some places where the goal isn't to kill the target as well. It leads to Raya Lucaria, where we will not kill Renala, but we are able to change our stats. That's helpful. Then it leads to Caria Manor, and if we complete the dungeon, then we can go to Ranni's Rise. It is one of the more straightforward quests in the game as well, where Ranni will tell you what you need to do for it. It boils down to killing Radahn, getting the Fingerslayer blade, then following her after that and doing what she wants. Compared to something like the Gold Mask quest, guess I'll just have to figure that one out. So why does Marika send us to Ranni? You could argue it's to ensure that we defeat Radahn, open up the path to Nokron so that we get the Mimic tier, which gives us an edge against the Elden Beast later. But something odd happens after we give Ranni the Fingerslayer blade. Ranni leaves and a new grace pops up, one that is actually pointing somewhere. It's pointing to Renna's Rise, where you will find a portal you need to go through to finish Ranni's quest and unlock the Age of Stars ending. What reason could Marika have to point us in the direction to finish Ranni's quest if she doesn't want us to do that ending? There's only one thing that might contradict this idea. At the end, we realize we are not the only Tarnished that sees Marika's grace. Her ex-consort Godfrey does too, and his grace is pointing at us. I think this shows that Marika always has a backup plan in case the first one doesn't work out. She will still get an Elden Lord to mend the Elden Ring, and she can start again. The only downside is that most of her children are dead. Actually, that's probably more of a feature for her than a bug. But since we have already defeated Malekith at this point, she may just be wanting to lead Godfrey to his death to finally finish him off. Ranni is also one for having a backup plan. On the night of the Black Knives, Ranni gave the Blasphemous Claw to Rykard with the traces of destined death in it so he can challenge Malekith if she was ever betrayed. By who? She was probably thinking Blaidd, since he was created by the Two Fingers to keep her in line, regardless of what he wanted. And there is more than just that similarity between Marika and Ranni. We learned in the DLC that Marika was a shaman, but in Japanese the word they use is Miko, and this sheds a bit more light on what the shaman are meant to be in Elden Ring. The Miko in Japanese culture were women who trained from a young age for years in the communication and possession of spirits. They were considered a spirit go-between or a medium. So being able to manipulate spirits and their energy is something that Marika was familiar with growing up as a shaman. It sounds like a pretty similar thing to witchcraft. This is partly how she figured out how to become a god at the gate of divinity by stealing the life essence from these corpses and turning it into power for herself. We also get a hint about her prowess working with spirits from Master Heug.
The girly boy here. She's crestfallen and can scarcely swing a blade. But she has a gift for spirit tuning. I saw another one like her long ago. Their eyes share the same hue.
Marika was the spirit tuner Master Heug knew, and that's who reminds him of Roderika. Also, Roderica is a combination of the names Marika and Radagon. Roderica and Marika also have a similar origin story. Gaidric's people wanted to use Roderica for grafting, and the Hornsent wanted to put Marika's shaman village in jars to create a jar saint, since apparently their flesh melds harmoniously with others. Who else is well versed in spiritual energy? Lunar Princess Ranni. Marika probably has more in common with Ranni than any of her other children because of this. In fact, the first time we meet her, she gives us the spirit calling bell and was responsible for orchestrating the Night of the Black Knives, which was a spiritual ritual. She imbued the Black Knife Assassin's blades with a fragment of destined death and performed a ritual in which the Black Knife Assassins killed Godwin's soul but not his body, and killed Ranni's body but not her soul. Since she was selected as an Empyrean by the Two Fingers, she did this to get rid of her Empyrean flesh to further free herself from the Greater Will. Now, how did Ranni know how to perform this ritual? She is a witch, a princess of the Carian royal family. Her mom Renala was the head of the Academy of Raya Lucaria, but this kind of stuff is not on the curriculum there. They are known for glintstone sorceries, which is related to the stars and harnessing their power. If you look at all of the descriptions for glintstone sorceries, not one mentions anything about souls or necromancy, anything like that. And Ranni also had a secret snow witch mentor which taught her cold sorceries, but none of those have to do with these rituals with souls either. But the Night of the Black Knives ritual has Marika written all over it. Marika was the spirit tuner who lived in the Shaman village where she trained intensely in the art of manipulating spiritual energy for years. And she is the one that performed the ritual in the DLC trailer to become a god. We also have evidence that she betrayed Malekith, who was the vessel of destined death. Even though Ranni tells us she stole the fragment of destined death, I do think that she had both Marika and Melina's help, and you can find out more in this video. And not to mention that Marika also has ties to the Black Knife Assassins themselves, since they are both Numen, and the Numen are scions of the Eternal City, who long to usher in the Age of Stars with the Lord of Night. But still, why would Marika do this? Why does she want Ranni to usher in the new Age of Stars? Why help her get rid of her own Empyrean flesh through the profane rite, in which she had to sacrifice her own son's soul? I racked my brain with this question for longer than I would like to admit. There's clear evidence by her sites of grace that she prefers the Age of Stars, and there's evidence that she does not want the Frenzy Flame ending because of Melina's dialogue. But what does Marika get out of it? Does she just want to die to give someone else the chance to form a brand new world? I think part of it is the same reason she shattered the Elden Ring in the first place, to escape the Greater Will and the Golden Order. Godhood is a caged divinity after all. But I don't think Queen Marika the Eternal wanted to finally die. My theory is a bit more unhinged than that, and it has been formed with inspiration from both Scum Mage Infa and Jack is a Mimic. And I've linked those videos down below if you are interested. So I think when Marika shattered the Elden Ring, she shattered herself because she is the Elden Ring. And I think she shattered her own consciousness out of her own Empyrean body and into Ranni's doll's body. Meaning that Ranni's doll has both Marika and Ranni's soul inside it. This works out for Marika because she finally gets to rid herself of her Empyrean flesh and finally be free. And the profane rite probably wouldn't have worked with Marika instead of Ranni since she is the vessel for the Elden Ring. And Ranni probably wouldn't have been able to pull off the Night of the Black Knives without all of Marika's help, so they needed each other. And now I'll show you some more evidence the game throws at us that hints that they are two souls in one body. They are Ranni's face, how the mini Ranni doll works, a piece of strange mandatory dialogue in Ranni's quest, the state we find Marika in, multiple themes of twins and mimics in Nokron, Seluvis's quest, the snowy Crone, and Ranni's alter ego Renna. Starting with the first one, it's pretty common knowledge that Ranni has two faces because she is a spirit inhabiting a doll, but I think the two faces could be an indicator that there are two souls in the doll body. Ranni isn't the only person that has their soul in a doll in the game. but she is the only character that has a doll face and the spectral face. Another character would be Sellen, someone who has direct links to Ranni's quest. The form we first meet Sellen in is actually her spectral form. Her real body is imprisoned in the Witchbane ruins. And it turns out she has worked with Seluvis, the creepy life-size doll collector, to make her a new body. She then gives you her primal glintstone, which is her soul. You can put it inside the new body for her, freeing her of the body that was imprisoned and giving her a brand new young one. She has essentially figured out how to become immortal with this process. But Sellen doesn't have a spectral face attached to her doll body, does she? And there is also promised consort Radahn. The climax of the whole game is really that Miquella used us to kill Radahn and Mohg for him, transforming Mohg's body to look like Radahn and placing Radahn's soul inside to bring him back to life in the Shadow Realm. Mohg's body is really a doll at this point, but he was able to shape it to look like Radahn. I think that's what happened with Sellen too. Seluvis probably killed somebody and used magic to make it look like Sellen. But PCR doesn't have an extra spectral face either. That's just a Ranni thing. And Ranni can do something else that other characters can't do, which is move through different vessels seamlessly. After we give her the Fingerslayer blade in her quest, then follow Marika's grace to Renna's rise and go through the portal, we wind up in the Ainsel River main and find the miniature Ranni doll. The doll is blue and looks like Ranni. The description says, "A doll resembling Ranni the Witch. From head to toe, every detail is perfect. This unresponsive doll seems pleasantly cool." So after trying to talk to the doll 3 times, Ranni will talk to you.
"Oh, a dogged fellow, aren't we? Or is it merely thy habit to talk to dolls? Fine. Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise. But now the cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms."
At first I was like, what do you mean? We already know you are a doll. But she means that the cat is out of the bag, that her consciousness can just inhabit another vessel so easily. How do I know this? After we defeat the Baleful Shadow, the Ranni doll changes. It's now all grayed out, head is down. The description reads, "A doll resembling Ranni the Witch. From head to toe, every detail is perfect. The chillness is gone, feeling now like an empty husk. There is no response." Meaning that she left the mini Ranni doll and went elsewhere. And why does it matter if she can easily inhabit different vessels? Because she has probably been going between her doll body and Marika's body in the Erd Tree, probably to like nag Radagon or something. I understand that it's weird that Ranni and Marika could have merged, made even weirder that Radagon is Ranni's father, but in this world, since Marika is Radagon, it feels like this is also a possibility that's on the table. There's also a strange moment in Ranni's quest after she tells you to find the blade and talk to her goons. There is actually a wall outside preventing you from leaving the tower. And to get it to go away, you need to go back up and talk to Ranni. So Miyazaki really wants you to hear this line of dialogue even before you leave the tower. He is a self-proclaimed micromanager and did this for a reason. In a game where you can do most things out of order whenever you want, he really wants you to hear what she has to say now.
Allow me to forewarn thee. I shall soon enter my slumber, and it will be some time before I wake. This doll's body is not without its hindrances. Still, I have high hopes for thee. I look forward to the good news when I arise.
So she wants you to know that she is going to be unresponsive if you try to talk to her again before she awakes, and blames it on the doll to throw us off, and follows up with a nice compliment to distract us. Very Marika-coded behavior. But given that we've proved she can move her consciousness to another doll easily, what she's really doing is either moving to the Ainsel River to the mini Ranni doll, or she is going to the Erd Tree in Marika's husk. Because when we finally find Marika, that's all she is, isn't she? Just a husk of her former self. Because she's kind of grayed out like that mini Ranni when she's not inhabiting it. Completely unresponsive, like a doll. The only part of her that is still full of life is Radagon, but there are even more hints that Ranni and Marika have merged. While in Nokron, the game reminds you about D. Not the first D you meet at the Round Table Hold, but the second one that is his twin and also named D. And you can give him the twin armor set, which states, armor depicting entwined twins of gold and silver. The two known as D are inseparable twins. They are two bodies and two minds, but one single soul. Not once do they stand together, not once do they speak to one another. Perhaps this armor longs to find its way to the other D. It's another event that lets you know how souls and bodies can work in the world of Elden Ring, and they put it in Nokron for a reason. I think it is down here because it's a bit of an illusion and a mirroring of Ranni and Marika, who are now entwined of silver and gold. Silver, of course, being Ranni, since she is going to usher in the Age of Stars, and the Eternal Cities have themes of silver. And of course Marika is gold. But instead of one soul and two bodies, they are two souls within one body and perhaps even one mind. Something I noticed when editing this video is that D's twinned armor plus the twinned helm actually has two faces on it. One is silver and one is gold. And the silver and gold switch when you find the other D in the armor later. So we found another character that also has two faces, so now I'm even more convinced that this is an allusion to Ranni and Marika. The next hints are the recurring themes of twins and mimicry in Nokron, where we get the Finger Slayer blade for Ranni. A crafting material you will see laying around the area is the Silver Tear husk, which says, "The Silver Tear makes a mockery of life, reborn again and again into imitation. Perhaps one day it will reborn a lord." This reminds me of Renna, a shell of her former self and obsessed with the amber egg in her rune of the unborn. She is constantly rebirthing sweetings. They are dying and then being reborn again. A true mockery of life indeed. In a way, Ranni also died during the Night of the Black Knives and was reborn into something new. There is also a boss fight in the aqueduct with a gargoyle, and just when you think you are getting close, his twin with a literal twin blade shows up. Miyazaki will beat you over the head with a theme until you understand it. And in all this twin imagery, who is the character that has two faces? Ranni. But the best theme of mimicry in Nokron is shown with the Mimic Tear ashes. The Mimic Tear is your twin and the most popular spirit ash by far. And you find them in this peculiar place in the middle of these dried corpses. And why would they choose to put the Mimic Tear right by these corpses? What are they mimicking? The Eternal Cities tried to create their own lord, and this was most likely the ritual involved, because that is how Marika ascended to godhood. Since she is a Newman, this ritual was mimicking what they've already done. Everyone just copies each other. But Marika actually succeeded in attaining godhood with it, and Ranni is essentially copying Marika in her ascent to godhood. While she isn't doing exactly this ritual, the first step to her ascension was murdering Godwin, the middle step was killing her brother, the last step was killing her father. It's not that different. Ranni has become Marika. And isn't that just quintessential George R.R. Martin? Letting your ambition lead you to overthrowing the system and in the process becoming the very thing you are against. And I'm not saying the Age of Stars is a bad ending, I think it's the best one of the options. The next hint about Marika and Ranni has to do with Ranni's related side quest with Seluvis and Sellen. Seluvis is one of Ranni's goons, but he is actually in the business of creating puppets by drugging people. Sellen was banned from Rye Lucaria because of her work with the primeval current, and also she has been working with Seluvis to put her soul into new doll bodies, which seems kind of frowned upon there. Seluvis even wants to drug Ranni herself and turn her into a puppet with the Amber Draft, because apparently the Amber Starlight is said to be the fate of the gods. But we never find out if it is, because Ranni thwarts your plans if you try, because she is the ultimate puppet master, right? Well, it turns out that the puppet master Seluvis was actually a puppet himself this whole time as well. But this whole side quest is just another allusion to Ranni's journey. The story we're told is that she met her secret mentor, the Snowy Crone, deep in the woods, who taught her cold sorceries and taught her to fear the dark moon. and that her doll is modeled after what the snowy crone looked like. But isn't it all a little too perfect? If Radagon hadn't left Renala, turning Renala into a shell of herself, would Ranni have needed a secret mentor? Because of this, Ranni probably felt lost in the world with no purpose, like Roderica. If this had never happened, would she have still gone deep in the woods where she met the supposed snowy crone and ended up getting seduced by the dark moon and age of stars? I wish we had more information on the snowy crone, but we don't, so I think it was Marika who was glamored to look like the snowy crone. I really don't think Marika lacks the power to do something like this. She knew Ranni was lost in the world and needed guidance, and since she knew Ranni has a rebellious personality, she knew that by teaching her to fear the dark moon, it would lead to her getting seduced by it. And there is another character who just kind of showed up in Elden Ring history one day. Radagon, who happens to just be Marika. And remember how the spirit tuner that Roderica reminded Master Heug of was also Marika. He also says,
She has a gift for spirit tuning. I saw another one like her long ago. Their eyes share the same hue.
well, Roderica and Ranni have the same eye color, and since Ranni's doll was modeled after the snowy crone, this also leads to the snowy crone in fact being Marika. Therefore, Puppet Master Ranni, who orchestrated all of these events which led to the shattering, might actually be the biggest puppet of them all. And with all of this other evidence, it is possible that when we first meet Ranni and she introduces herself as Renna, that was actually true, because perhaps Ranni plus Marika equals Renna. And where was Marika's grace pointing to in the beginning of this video? Renna's rise. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. Really excited to see what you guys think of all of my Unhinged theories, and I'll see you in the next one.